Okay, with doing a bunch of videos on ideal character classes and doing a bunch of videos on big bad evil guys, it's time to get into ideas for campaigns. So now I am going to use good old Hero Quest as a baseline to kind of introduce like a whole campaign. Now Hero Quest is a board game, so go check out like the previous videos that I have on this as well. So it's pretty much could be designed theoretically to introduce like the stereotypical dungeon crawl that like is granted would probably be made famous by like first and second edition and everything. So for this one, I'm gonna hold up this. I'm gonna set it in the Forgotten Realms, the Sword Coast. Now, obviously, you could switch things up and kind of like maybe use Pathfinder or maybe like the Blue Rose or like any of the other tabletop role playing games, or kind of make your own. So, but for the campaign idea for this, I'm going to introduce the good old like Forgotten Realms, since this is a popular. So I'll hold out the map that I got at the Coast Adventurers Guide. So like this is the Sword Coast. So I'm going to set it in like the region of like a Silvery Moon, Bithral Hall, the north and there. So like what could happen is in the beginning, 14 quests or whatever, the mentor, the pretty much like the DM for the board game, could be like a high level aristocrat in Silvery Moon that, in a sense, commissions or whatever, hires the party to kind of like combat like uh, the big bad evil guy. In this case, would be Zargon. You could say like introduce him as like the all powerful like sorcerer or wizard, like at least level 20. He's looking to kind of, in a sense, overtake the whole region type of deal. What comes to mind would for me would be like he could be like an extra dimensional or interplanar being like that's coming from maybe another world. He like or quite possibly like another like one of the planes. Maybe he's coming from the astral plane, or maybe like one of you could introduce him as like a demon or a devil to kind of like come from like the nine hells or like the or wherever like the lower realms. He is coming in to kind of in a sense conquer the whole like Silvery Moon Mithril Hall region, and then trying to conquer the whole world. So you'd want like a, you don't have to, but I would write him up as at least a level 20 like wizard or sorcerer, and like has command of like a lot like mastery of magic. So probably like on par with like in this realm like Elminster, or possibly in Greyhawk Mordecai, like that level of like a mastery, or if not more. So in a sense, like a mentor, like I said, the aristocrat hires the party, like and or commissions them, and like, hey, look, there's this big bad evil guy that's coming in. He's looking to take over, and like his armies of like in the board game would be chaos warriors, and like zombies and orcs and goblins, and some, maybe you could like using the demon concept. Maybe they're using like lower level demons like that look like orcs, goblins, and he has the ability to summon undead and everything. So him and his armies come in. The party now begins like, okay, now we need to like fight this new evil and everything. So with the first uh, quest book, in a sense, there's 14 quests. So like it's quest one is the trial, like which basically is like in a sense test your mettle. So like maybe like the mentor, I'll continue calling him, sends the heroes on like a trial, like okay, we need you to kind of like maybe go out into the forest to get like some magical items or whatnot, or maybe quite possibly combat like the growing evil, doing like a scouting party. So like the first quest would be like the trial, and then like to kind of test your mettle and everything. So in the subsequent quests and everything, as you go through, you start to fight like the in a sense like the sergeants and like the low level minions and everything, and then like you fight one of his lieutenants, the Witch Lord, which you could introduce like another villain. So then like you do battle like after all 14 quests of this one, you do battle with the Witch Lord, and like you defeat him and everything, and maybe like with this one you get up from like levels 1 to 5 type of deal. So like the 14 quests, you like you're sent on like in a sense different quests or different missions to kind of like garner experience and kind of like combat this new threat and everything. So that then once you go through like the whole first 14 quests or whatever, like you can introduce it anyway. So like I said, this is traditionally like a introduced as a dungeon crawl, being a board game, but you could introduce like the quests and everything as like different styles, being like on like the above ground in the Forgotten Realms. And so like you could do the like especially with the trial, the first quest, you could do like the traditional dungeon crawl to kind of get people like, oh hey, here's a good idea for a campaign and everything. Oh, this sounds fun. Let's keep going and everything. And of course, as like a one shot, you could quite possibly just do the first quest, the trial, and then like go sideways, and then like maybe like the first quest maybe goes through like one, maybe 2 sessions, and then like you introduce something completely different. But coming back to the campaign idea, then you introduce Kellar's Keep. Maybe you go to like after going through the main quest, like now the army's coming in and they get their full blown invasion, and then like maybe Sundabar near Silvery Moon is under siege and everything, and like they kind of use the Kellar's Keep, like where in this game like the king retreats to like his stronghold. Like think of like Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings, where now you have to do a bunch of quests in and around the caverns in there, like to kind of like save the king and get them like safe. So you could then introduce this to like go help Sundabar, who's in like in under invasion or something. Kind of do this concept, and then like they have maybe like caverns underneath where you kind of like go under the and recruit people in like the races, allies, and like other people like in the Underdark to kind of help with the invasion, bring them back up, like maybe like pop up behind the invasion force and do battle that way instead of like having the king escape or whatever. You then in a sense do like a flanking maneuver to get the invading army, and then with the quests in here, there's like a good another 10 quests in here. So you could quite possibly with this one level up people from like level 5 to maybe 7 or so, like 6 or 7, and then you find out that you didn't necessarily kill the Witch Lord. He comes back and you defeat him, and then maybe he retreats to like the desert of Anaruk. Which probably butchering that pronunciation, so people like bear with me because my pronunciation, as I said before, always sucks and everything. So you go to Anaruk the desert, and then to go and put an end to the Witch Lord once and for all, because he's now over there starting to amass an undead army to help kind of turn the tide in this now ongoing war. So you go to his stronghold, and like you could be like use this as like a full-blown dungeon crawl, sort of like think of like the Dungeon of the Mad Mage adventure book. So like you could do like a quick like dungeon crawl through this, level up people a couple more levels to like maybe level 9. Then like maybe you go you use like the Frozen Horror idea, you go up to Icewind Dale from levels 9 to like up to level 11. You do maybe Zargon, the big bad evil guy, the wizard, the demon, the whatever, has gone up to Icewind Dale to start recruiting like or bringing up ancient evils from there. So now you go up to here to Icewind Dale, then 10 towns, use these quests, level get like another couple levels, and combat the threat in there. So that way it doesn't come in like and again turn the tides of the war in Zargon's favor. So then, of course, you could then use like three, or actually I should say 4. You could use the next subsequent 4, like the Mage of the Mirror, the Rise of the Dread Moon, Spirit Queen's Torment, and Prophecy of Tellar. You could kind of like in a sense tie all those together, level people up 4 more levels to like 15, and then like one big overarching theme where you go into like the actual like the high forest and like kind of tie everything in, like you start introducing like the elven nations there, and so now you go back and forth with that, So there's those four campaigns. So now, or quest books. Now you're up to level 15. So then what you do, as I'm searching for, yep, it's underneath there. Well, was looking for my last quest book and everything. So then, against the ogre horde, maybe what you do is you go into the kingdom of many arrows in the mountains north of Silvery Moon and everything, and you go up against the ogre. So now shifting gears up into the mountains and everything. Now you go back and forth and trying to each side is now trying to recruit the ogres, and so this quest book maybe you gain another couple levels up to level 17 to get the ogres on your side to kind of finally sway the things more towards your side and everything. So then we've got the jungles of Delthrak here. So now there's really no jungles in the north or the Sword Coast, but what you could do is go down to maybe switch it to go down to the marshes of Kellenber or the Grey Oak Hills, go further south and everything, or if you don't want to go that far, what you could quite possibly do, as I'm looking at the map, is go to the Evermoors, make it somewhere closer, switch the scenery from jungles to swamps and everything, use that kind of concept to do one final battle, a series of adventures to get people up to level 19. Then and using those quest books, that's pretty much all the quest books that you have for Hero Quest. So now you've gone up from levels 1 to 19 to get the heroes up to level 20. Maybe do one final battle, introduce a series of adventures. Another main villain in Hero Quest is Cassandra, the sorcerer. So maybe she's the main lieutenant after defeating the Witch Lord early on. You go up to battle against her, and then you end up getting up to level 20, and not only get level 20, but then you start getting more magical items and more equipment and stuff to be able to do battle with the Zargon. And then the final confrontation, once you reach level 20 and you've defeated his main lieutenant Cassandra, and you got all the magical items and equipment and the spells and scrolls and everything to go up against Zargon himself. And then at level 20 you do in a sense the final showdown with the main big bad evil guy, and you could quite possibly end up I'm thinking Vecna Eva Ruin, where you in a sense not only defeat him, instead you could have two possible outcomes. You could defeat him and banish, for instance, using the demon concept, banish him back down to the 9 gates of hell permanently. Or you could, in a sense, take it another route where you can go and just basically destroy him for good, and where he ceases to exist and isn't just banished back to the 9 hells. So this is the concept of using campaigns, and so kind of using as you can see, all the quest books for Hero Quest to kind of introduce a campaign, and I used the Forgotten Realms as an example. Of course, you don't have to use the Forgotten Realms. You could introduce in the Greyhawk. You could use Pathfinder. You could even use this kind of concept to run a Blue Rose campaign set and everything. So I only used the Forgotten Realms as a baseline. So these videos are basically just an idea of hey, look, here's campaign ideas that you can use for your groups and everything that could quite possibly last years, especially with this one going from levels 1 to 20 and everything. So of course you could also, like I said, introduce this as one-shots. The ideas for these are pretty much only limited by your imagination as well.